Librarian, and I am here on a lovely Monday, here up in Canada at least. Hopefully, it is sunny where you are, and I am here for my new review or new game review Monday, where I examine new games that have come out or slightly older titles. In hopes that if you're looking to add a new game to your library collection or even your own personal collection, hopefully you can draw some inspiration from this Twitch stream. So today I am here to talk to you about Miitopia on the Nintendo Switch. So originally a title that came out in 2016 on the Nintendo 3DS. This is a re-release that just came out this past Friday on May 25th and is available for the Nintendo Switch, upgraded, better graphics, better fidelity, and a few little hidden gems within the title that make it really enjoyable. So we'll delve right in and get started. And so, Miitopia on Nintendo Switch. The easiest way that I can describe this game is it's the kind of game that you come home to after a very long day and you just want to relax and want to play a game that's sort of mindless that you really don't have to spend too much time thinking about. That is Miitopia. I would also describe it as my first RPG of sorts. So it's a really great role-playing game to introduce on a Nintendo Switch console to a younger audience. It's not overly complicated. It's really simple characters to follow along with some interesting twists along the way. And just really quirky, charming writing. And of course, because it is rated E for everyone, nothing too serious to worry about. So we will hop right in. And so, hopping into the title, if you were to be starting the game, it would sort of run you through an introduction where you would sort of create your own character and that sort of thing. I will admit I am playing on my save file, and I probably have about 7 to 9 hours so far into the campaign. So my characters are all level 9. I have a party of 4 right now, so this is max party that you can get in the game. And as you can sort of see in the corner, I've named it Eclipse. But new to this game, where you couldn't get in the 3DS version, is the horse. So sort of acting as an independent character, which we'll get a bit into in a few moments. But gives you a fifth character to sort of play through and make some of the battles a little bit easier, which compared to the initial 2016 title that came out, I found it to be a little bit tough for something that was meant to be sort of a very easy, relaxing RPG to go into. Now, I absolutely love the work of this studio. So this is produced and published by Nintendo, but the masterminds behind it are a studio named Grezzo. So if you've never heard of these folks, they've done really impressive ports. So, for example, Miitopia before us, but they've also done a lot of work on up-resing and porting games over. So the definitive versions of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, as well as The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, both on the 3DS. Those up-resed, remastered in a way, definitive editions to these games were done by Grezzo Studios. They also ported over some charming games. So one of my all-time cult classic favorites, Ever Oasis, that came out in 2017 for the 3DS, sort of the last unsung hero of the 3DS before it was twilighted by the Nintendo Switch, is also another work by Grezzo. More recently on the Nintendo Switch, they've also been really well known for their work on the remake, the cute little remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, if you've had the chance to play that one. So they are masters of the trade and have done really amazing, incredible work on this game that I have really enjoyed. So when you're in the main hub world, you have a couple of things going on, but obviously you want to see how the game plays. So I will launch right into that. I will point out in the menu system very quickly another addition. So on top of the horse, which is a new addition to this game, you also get makeup and wigs. So I put freckles on my little character that you can see in the bottom corner. But you can also put on new wigs and interesting hair colors. So we will set out now. I was in the wrong area. What is very interesting about this game is that it's not a game that requires too much thinking in terms of battling. You choose your party, you set out. As you'll see, I have my characters all dressed up in a cute little Nintendo-themed costumes. I just discovered today that there is amiibo support, and if you tap special amiibo, so as you can see, I had the Link amiibo, the Samus, the Ness, and the Kirby amiibos. You can tap them, and you can get really cool and interesting Nintendo-themed costumes. And so, as you pick your party and leave the inn, you can go along. And sorry, I'm just going to go blank screen for a quick second, and I'll be 1 quick second. Just because I think the image quality is a little bit different. So as you go along, you can choose different pathways for where you want to battle. And so the ones with the flags mean that I've taken every single path, but with each area that you go to, all you simply do is enter into an area and press A. You choose the path that you want to take. Now, unlike a traditional JRPG or RPG, where you would have to make really complex decisions, this game auto runs. And it'll auto run until you run into a randomly generated battle like we have here. Now, the premise of the game, really simple, fun, and silly. The evil Dark Lord, and you get to create one yourself. So I followed in the footsteps of the Legend of Zelda and named mine Ganondorf. Has stolen all the faces of the people in the land, and it is your job to go along, battle these creatures that the Dark Evil Lord has transplanted all the faces onto, and then retrieve the faces back. So here we're fighting 2 rock moths. Now, my NPCs, so Thor, as you can see, acted on his own accord. So the only attacks that you ever pick in a battle are going to be your own. So this was a really easy battle. And what I will do is I'll go over to one that's a little more complicated. But as you can see, you gain gold, you gain experience. You would level up like you would in a traditional role-playing game. And so as you go along, you auto-run. You get witty commentary in between. And of course, the NPCs do not hesitate to voice their own opinions on matters. So we'll take the tough path to give myself a bit of a challenge. Now, as you're going along, like in other quirky titles that Nintendo has published, for example, Tomodachi Life, your NPCs will build relationships amongst one another, and then these relationships play an important role in battles. So because you only technically control your main character and not the 3 others that journey along with you, as well as your horse, they sort of act of their own accord, where these abilities, or where the relationships really take hold is in the abilities that they gain. And so these abilities range from your non-playable characters either healing you or boosting an attack so that, you know, they will sing a song for you, it inspires you, and then your character will do double the damage. Each ability allows you to sort of do something unique and fun and interesting. And of course, because this game is so based around humor, all these abilities that you get are absolutely hilarious. So far, my favorite has been the pop star who sings into a song and makes everyone fall in love with her. Of course, I named my pop star Miku after the famed Miku Hatsune series done by Sega. But the runner-up is definitely my horse that can snort out a hot, fiery steam from its nose that damages all the enemies. So, as you can see, I have control of my own character. So, whereas in the last battle, the NPC sort of took hold, attacked first, and then took care of all the enemies, I now get to attack as my own NPC. So, I've picked the mage class, and so when you start this game, you get your basic traditional trope classes. So, mage, warrior, cleric, and thief. But you also get some really fun quirky ones, like my pop star class Miku character. And then there was also chef, which are absolutely hilarious. So it's not, when you get into this RPG, it's not one that is meant to take itself seriously. But as a mage, I have the ability to attack. I also have magic skills and snacks. Now, I could be mistaken, but in the last game, something that was not available were some of the features available in the menu. So I just pressed X to open up the menu. And here you have the opportunity to either auto battle. So it'll battle for you. You don't have to worry about picking any attacks. It just goes through the entire thing for you. Sprinkles allow you the ability to... they act as your... potions, so to speak, if you played any sort of RPG before. So the HP one restores HP, the blue restores magic points, and then so far I've only gained one life sprinkle so far. I'm not sure if as you go on in the game you gain more, but it's a really interesting mechanic, and sort of you can choose who you dash each sprinkle on. You also have the ability to do a safe spot. So, for example, as it is a quirky RPG, sometimes the enemies will make your character laugh hysterically or cry. Now, you can either have the option to wait it out in battle, or what you can do is you can pick a character. For example, I'll choose my own and put them into the safe spot. By putting them into the safe spot, if they are crying or laughing, what will happen is you just leave them a turn and they will heal themselves. But we will go through with the battle because I don't need to run away. And the enemy status, obviously, they are all full health. So you have quirky different abilities. So I'll do a lightning spell, which attacks the two characters to the sides. And so as you defeat each enemy, you'll notice in the top right corner, you gain those faces back. And the more faces you gain, the more you'll unlock sprinkles and different abilities. All right, and so you gain experience, you level up. You'll gain food, which will play an important role once you return back to the inn. So in classic Dungeons and Dragons style, you go out on your campaign, you adventure, but not for too long before finding yourself back at an inn, like we just did now, where you rest for the night. If you've been outside and on adventure, your relationships will go up as indicated by the heart. So I just went up in relationship with my horse, and we went up to level 13. Now, you will gain different abilities as you go along, but you'll also have fun ways to interact with your characters in this space. So first, you have the ability to spend gold. Now, what is quirky and interesting about this game is that you can't directly dictate who gets what. So when you go to spend gold, they'll either have a food, sword, or clothing icon above them, indicating what they are most interested in. And so you can level up these items at their choosing as you go along, and you just spend the gold points to do so. You also have the ability to increase their stats as you go along by giving them food. So my character here absolutely loves goblin ham. And so when you give them food, if they really like it, their stats will go up. But as you can tell, they all have their own personalities. Well, Ness absolutely loves goblin ham. Everyone else is shaking their heads going, no, please don't feed me that. That's because they don't like it. And so when you're trying to feed them the foods that they don't like, they'll gain that little incremental bit of stat, but then they'll also lose a bit of it because they disliked food and you decide to feed them that. You can also check in on your character. So here we have Thor and Miku who need to have a conversation. So let's see what they have to say to one another. And so their relationship has grown stronger. And as you can see, it's usually pretty run-of-the-mill things that they have to say. Sometimes you'll get like a little bit of a telenovela soap opera aspect where, you know, these two characters will say something nice to one another and they'll leave the room, and then in the window pops up your main character going, what's going on here? Like they were my best friend. How dare you try to take them away from me? And so, as you can see in the top right corner, you have sort of the different relationships that are formed. And so the stronger the bonds, the stronger the abilities are between characters. You have the option to set off, and that allows you to go back on your adventure. You also have a fun little arcade mode. So every day when you log in, it'll give you arcade tickets to play. And so you just spin the wheel, and it's at the whim of the computer to dictate what you are going to win. So let's see where I landed. I won some Jolly Jaunt tickets. So Jolly Jaunts and outings are really cool, quirky mechanics within this game. And so it gives you the option to choose the ability to go out on an outing with your character. Now, what's the benefit of doing this? So similar as we saw with the adventuring aspect, as you adventure along, it builds that little heart meter and that relationship bar between characters. Now, if you choose to go on an outing, you don't have to fight anything. You just go out. Sort of think of it like a date for your character. And so we will send Link on this outing, but there's nobody to go with. Oh no. I thought I had Link with somebody. But thankfully, I have another outing ticket. And so if you have duplicates of something, as you just saw here, you have the ability to sell. And so the last section and the outing one, you have different areas where you can go. And bless this game. I just found out the other day I got an outing ticket to the library, and I was like, yes, libraries do count as an outing / date to go on. And what a perfect space for a date to take place. But for right now, we have a cafe as a good example. So other ones that have come up have included fishing trips, going to the seaside, and even going on sort of like a boat trip somewhere. But we'll go to the cafe and we'll send our two characters out on this one. So as you can see, you get that sort of witty dialogue, sometimes nonsensical, sometimes just really humorous and tongue-in-cheek. And so I imagine in doing this game, the people at Grezzo had a lot of fun translating and coming up with this weird, cheesy dialogue for each outing. But it's a great opportunity to sort of boost that relationship stat with your character and gain souvenirs as you come back. And so, at its core, this is the premise of the game. Very simplistic, very easy going, and not meant to take itself too seriously. So, weighing the pros and the cons of this game, I'll start with the pros. One of the greatest benefits of this game is that it's a really simple RPG. So if you are ever wanting to introduce somebody to a new RPG, or maybe you yourself are new to playing role-playing games, Miitopia offers an easy way to step in, learn about role-playing game mechanics in an easy environment. The writing is absolutely superb. The animation style is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. And really, I spend more time, as I said at the beginning, laughing at this game for its cheesy humor and situations that you find yourself in than any other. You also have the ability to edit your characters and the faces that they have. So you can either create your own Mii from scratch, or you can import Mii's that you already have on your Nintendo Switch console. If you played this back in the days of the 3DS, you also had the opportunity to impose your friends' faces from your friends list onto the characters in this game. My all-time favorite thing is if you are connected to the internet with this game, what you can do is you can actually pre-download faces that people already made. And I have to give credit to the worldwide community out there that have taken the time to play the demo and to play this game and upload some of their creations. I have NPCs ranging from Peter Griffin from Family Guy to Gandalf and Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Obviously, I named my great sagely wizard in this game, Gandalf. I couldn't, though it was a tough choice between that and Dumbledore. But yeah, there's some really quirky creations. And in the game that's not meant to take itself seriously, it's a fun opportunity to just play a role-playing game that is easygoing, laid back, and doesn't take itself too seriously. That being said, and weighing into some of the cons of this game, I will admit it does get a little too easy at times. So admittedly, I am about 7 to 9 hours into this game and level 9, but I have found that after I've played through a world a couple of times, which as you go along, you don't have, well, you have the choice in, but if you want to collect that little yellow flag in each world and unlock each path, you'll find yourself returning to the same area 2 or 3 or 4 times to get all the treasure chests and whatnot. And by the time you've done that, as you move on to the next area, now suddenly your party is quite overpowered. Also, it can get a bit repetitive with the grinding sequence of this game. Now, grinding, so that means sort of replaying the same part over and over and over again for experience or to find the treasure chests, is what I mean by grinding. Can be a bit tedious, but just like in any role-playing game, it's something that happens more often than not. And compared to other games such as Borderlands or Final Fantasy, where you can literally spend hours upon hours grinding for experience points and new abilities, this game is at least friendly enough to only make you do so for about 10 or 15 minutes before you're more than well off to move on to the next area. Overall, I would say this is a great, absolutely fantastic RPG to introduce into a library collection. If you're looking for something light and easy and accessible for your patrons who are interested in role-playing games to pick up. It's not as complex or as complicated as Pokemon and or Zelda can be, and it's more accessible and inviting, but it's also really a humorous title that families can enjoy. So not only will the kids get to enjoy the experience of playing along with the games, but the parents will also get a good chuckle out of some of the dialogue that takes place. If you're adding it to your personal collection, I think this is an absolute gem worth picking up. Now, some people will say that the price point is a bit high. I will be the first to admit, in Canada, this does cost $65 plus tax. And so in the States, that's roughly about $50 USD to buy into for what is a re-release of a 3DS title. But if you're looking for something new and find it interesting, and certainly if you've never had the chance to play Miitopia before on the 3DS, and this is your first time experiencing it, I cannot recommend this game enough. This has been Chris, the gaming librarian, talking with you tonight about Miitopia for the Nintendo Switch. This game just came out last Friday on the 25th. And yes, if you definitely want to check out this game, I highly recommend you do so. It has been an absolute blast to play. And I'll just exit out and highlight the title. And obviously, I love the music. If there's one thing I want to end on, it is the music in this game. It's quirky, it's charming, and it's really sweet. Anyways, this has been Chris the Gaming Librarian with a new game review. Check back in every Monday for a new game that I will highlight. Next week, we will be exploring some new titles, including Biomutant, World's End Club, and Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. If you want to tune into other shows along the way during the week, on Wednesdays, I will be doing my third Intro to Gaming in Libraries episode. So the first two have focused on if you are introducing the Nintendo Switch or the Xbox series of consoles into your library and how to start with that, services and games that you want to look at. This week, I will be covering the Sony PlayStation series of consoles. And then on Fridays, I do my Let's Play where I just let loose, sit back at the end of the long week and play some new games that have come out. So keep an eye open for that. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 p.m. This evening was a little bit later. Keep an eye open, and thank you for tuning in. This has been Chris the Gaming Librarian talking to you and signing out. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.